Hello everyone, good morning. So today I got a lot of questions from the student that they have a very much difficulty to go through the MSK topics, particularly in corporation with the Q&A sessions. So, and same time, I have a student right now in front of me. When she was a student, what are her difficulty? So I want to enlighten that point. I want to enlighten my students that okay, how you gonna navigate your whole study in a structure based that you're gonna go through the theory, incorporate that theory into the question answers, and how to understand the critical scenario with the decision making skill. So let's have one student, Samiksha. Hi, Samiksha.
Hello, ma'am. Good to see you after a long time.
Yes, me too.
Ma'am, when I was preparing for the exam, I realized shoulder was the most trickiest part which I was dealing with. When it comes to the shoulder, I did not understand what to study exactly because shoulder is a vast and there are many components. Can you please explain in a short that what exactly we should study in the shoulder and how to understand in a summarized way?
See, it's you are asking like the very important point, shoulder joint. Shoulder
Yes.
joint is like big joint. Shoulder joint is not only one joint. It is associated with the glenohumeral, acromioclavicular, sternoclavicular, scapulothoracic. So there are multiple joints making a one maximum mobile joint, which is like 180-degree flexion, 180-degree abduction, scapular movement. Along with that, shoulder joint is also associated with MSK, associated with the posture, associated with the spine, associated with our day-to-day activities. So now let me share my screen with you. Just a minute. So shoulder joint. Shoulder joint is a very big joint, but I'm going to take a one portion, for example, acromioclavicular. Okay. So particularly shoulder joint, when you are planning to go with the shoulder joint, first plan out your structure. That shoulder joint has a four component: AC, sternoclavicular, scapular, thoracic, and main joint is glenoid. These are the four structures, four joints, which is associated with the shoulder joint. Now, each and every joint, when you go through the MSK, it is very important that you have to understand capsular pattern, you have to understand resting position, and you have to understand close back position. Now, what is it? Each joint has their own capsular pattern, which is associated with the cartilage damage. So, whenever there is an arthritic condition, capsular pattern is most evident. It is, for example, shoulder joint capsular pattern is external rotation is more limited than the abduction than the internal rotation. Now, here, most precise word is capsular pattern of glenohumeral joint. It's not only shoulder joint, glenohumeral joint capsular pattern is external rotation is limited more than abduction than the internal rotation. Resting position. Now each and every joint has their own resting position. AC joint has their own resting position. Glenohumeral joint has their own resting position. Resting position is the most relaxed position where you can give mobilization to improve the range. And close back position when bone to bone come in contact. So we should know that's why we cannot provide this position to the patient. Now, when you are going with any joint, mobilization. So basic questions. These are very, very basic questions. That mobilization. So my students are saying that Mamta mobilization is concave or convex joint. Concave or convex rules. No. If you are going with the shoulder joint, what are the shoulder joint movement? Movement is shoulder flexion, internal rotation, extension, external rotation, abduction, and adduction. So when I am preparing my joint with the mobilization, why I am giving mobilization? To reduce pain and to improve range. So the goal must be clear in my mind. And for improving the range, what direction I have to give the mobilization? So if I want to improve flexion and internal rotation, my direction would be the posterior. If I want to improve the extension and external rotation, my direction would be the anterior. If I want to improve the abduction, my direction is caudal. So have a look. This is the glenoid cavity and it is the head of the humerus. Head of the humerus, which is convex. So if I want to go with the flexion, head goes into the posterior direction. If I am going in the extension, head goes into the anterior direction. That way, my direction is based on convex rules. But when I am preparing, I must know this is the direction of the mobilization. But here there is also one glitch with adhesive capsulitis. So adhesive capsulitis is a condition where shoulder already is anterior tipping. There is a round shoulder. The glenoid cavity is facing forward. Head of the humerus also facing forward. On the same time, capsular pattern, which is the external rotation, is more limited than the abduction, than the internal rotation. So it is combined. At that time, if I am giving anterior glide to improve the external rotation, worsen the condition. So here only that glitch, adhesive capsulitis, I am giving posterior mobilization so that it gives the anatomical normal position of the glenohumeral joint, which help to improve the range. So this is the basic thing. Whenever you are going with each and every joint, you should go with the what is the capsular pattern, what is the resting position, what is the close back position. If particular given joint, for example, elbow joint, flexion, what is my mobilization direction, extension, what is the mobilization of direction. And in a given joint, your mind must be clear with the spatial test. Now what is spatial test? Spatial test. Spatial test means when somebody comes to me with the pain. Now patient is telling me that, Mamta, I have a pain at the shoulder. Right away, I cannot diagnose my patient. So I have to go with the thorough examination. That okay, what are the mechanism of injury? Where is the pain? What is the aggravating factor? What is the relieving factor? What is the on observation patient's posture? What is the patient's pain level? What movement is painful? What movement is pain free? These are my systemic analysis, and after that, I have a multiple options that might be my patient has a supraspinatus tendinitis, might be my patient has bicipital tendinitis, might be my patient has acromioclavicular sprain, or might be my patient has a frozen shoulder. Imagine this type of the multiple options in my mind click when I'm evaluating my patient. So here spatial test play important role that if I am doing the spatial test for empty can and if it is negative, supraspinatus tendinitis is rule out. If I am doing the Yergason test is positive, bicipital tendinitis is rule in, means it is there. So spatial test give the enlight that okay, particular test is positive, means patient is going towards this condition. And that's why as a therapist and as a student, I always prefer you just divide your spatial test according to the joint wise. So in the shoulder joint, again I told you, AC and SC, glenohumeral and scapulothoracic. Acromioclavicular joint as well as the sternoclavicular joint, mainly patient has horizontal adduction is painful. So if horizontal adduction test or the AC joint shear compression test where patient is in the normal position and if therapist compress anterior and posterior shoulder joint by the palmar aspect of the hand, if that test is positive, means AC joint is at risk or AC joint is at fault. So these are the special tests only for AC joint. Glenohumeral, that is a joint. For the joint, arthritic condition, capsular pattern giving the idea about the frozen shoulder. But along with that, if muscles are there, bicipital tendinitis, we have a bicipital tendinitis, Yergason test, speed test. Supraspinatus tendinitis, we have a Emtiken test. Subscapularis tendinitis, we have a lift-off test. Needs impingement test, Hawkins-Kennedy test, drop-arm test. So these are the variety of the tests giving us the idea what structure are at fault. Now, understanding the name only is not enough. You are a student and you are going to be a physiotherapist after clearing this exam. Understand that point. So if I'm going to say that knee impingement test or the Emtiken test, you must know what is the knee impingement test. It is the full internal rotation and going all the way up. Emtiken test, 90-degree abduction and the full internal rotation. And when therapists give the registered hold, patient has the pain. So whatever you are reading, go with the thorough understanding. As you are a physiotherapist and performing that test on the patient, after that you never forgot. So your preparation is based on your critical thinking, your mental imaginary technique that helps you to identify what is the exact structure at fault. Clear? And on the same time, again, muscles, nerve supplies, dermatome and myotome, these are all incorporate. Samiksha,
Yes, ma'am.
how do you feel? Like you get the idea that what are the organized way you have to understand your whole system, whole joint actually.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, it's too much that we become confused sometimes. If we get this pointer, what we have to study, sometimes it's become very easy when you open the books or when you see your lectures, what exactly things we need to grasp and remember. So yeah, this was very useful till now.
Yes, and see, okay, let's today's main topic. Like I'm gonna explain you that how you gonna understand your acromioclavicular joint. So theory you already read, you already go through the book, right? But then that reading, how it is helpful for your exam point of view or for your overall clinical presentation. So I always prefer my student go with the scenario based because it is actually your exam based, right? So let's go with the scenario. 38-year-old sports player coming to the department with the fall on shoulder and diagnosed with the AC joint sprain. That is your scenario. Imagine I am your patient. I am a sport player. I had a fall and I already diagnosed with the AC joint. Now, if I am your patient versus 72-year-old person coming to you with the same condition, same scenario, still both is different, both is unique, and you have to evaluate as a student, as a physiotherapist by your own presentation. So overall, when I'm coming with the AC joint sprain, diagnosis is already given. So what are the questions which has to be arised in your mind? That what movement is expected to be painful? AC joint, it's not like the impingement syndrome that middle arc, there is a pain. No. AC joint, either my extreme level of like extreme range is painful or horizontal adduction is painful or horizontal abduction is painful. So whatever the AC joint is involved at particular range of the shoulder is my painful motion. What is the special test for the AC joint for the assessment? I already discussed shear test or the horizontal adduction test. What is expected to observe in your patient while examination? So whenever patient comes to you, you are working with your clinical presentation on observation, on palpation, on examination. So when I'm coming with you with the AC joint, Observation, either you can see round shoulder, which is already mostly patient has round shoulders, kyphotic posture, but particularly AC joint, it might be step deformity. So step deformity is a classic sign versus sulcus sign. So patient has a shoulder dislocation, they have a sulcus sign. So on observation, step deformity, which is a classic sign of the AC joint. On palpation. So palpation, basically, patient has a tenderness, particularly on the AC joint area, shoulder joint area. And on examination, which active movement is painful? Horizontal adduction, horizontal abduction. So examination include AROM, PROM, registered isometric movement, followed by spatial test. So what active movement is painful? You have to identify. What passive movement at the end range is painful? That give you the exact idea that, okay, this joint is at fault. And the spatial test finalize our conclusion about the physical diagnosis. So that way, when you are preparing yourself with the theory, incorporate with the question answers, I think you never forgot. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Another thing, treatment. So these are all our coming to the physical diagnosis. Now what about the treatment? Intervention. Now intervention is extremely important when you are dealing with your patient. What you need before starting your treatment? Problem list. Because what are the patient's problem? For example, I am a housewife, AC joint problem, but I am okay because I don't need to do anything. I have a lot of, the helper in my house. I don't need to do anything like cooking, cleaning, anything. I'm okay. Only sleep at night time. I have a pain with minor movement. So that is my problem list. I have a difficulty with my upper dressing, my problem list. Versus who is a, I can say, factory worker. So he has to do the lift, the heavy weight. He has to move. So for him, he is the only bread and butter of the family. So he cannot stop his working. He cannot rest. Problem is going on, going on. So his problem list is multiple, where pain, difficulty with ADL, difficulty with the earning, difficulty with the movement, and that ultimately make him depressed. So problem list is very important. And after that, when you are finalize your treatment, what is the duration? Whether your patient right away coming to you, that is like first day or first week or the fourth week, or whether patient has a chronic pain. Same way, whether the patient, if patient is operated, for example, whether it is the first post-operative day, whether it is the fourth week of post-operative day, duration do matters. Because if initially that is a maximum protection phase where we have to prevent complication, we have to focus with the red flags, versus subacute phase, we are trying to improve range, strength, endurance. And the last one, which is return to the final phase, return to the function. If I am a sports player, here I may come across with the questions or the scenario which is based on ethics, like the prognosis. Ergonomical questions. I'm a computer worker. What type of the ergonomic will help me to prevent further injury? How to return to the my job? How to return to the sports? If I'm a worker, what will be the WSIB point of view, ethics? And ultimately, as a therapist, what education I have to provide for the prevention. So if you organize your whole structure, I think it will be easy for you to navigate through the shoulder joint with very easily. Just few example. Acute intervention. Acute intervention means pain management. So protection, rest, ice, compression, elevation. Here, if appropriate, I will use the modalities if appropriate. Means diabetic patient, sensory problem, I have to be cautious about the modalities. Patient is pregnant, cautious about the modalities. Patient has the cancer. So depending on your scenario, we have to think every patient is unique. Like for me, every student is unique. Whenever the student comes to me, some are good with MSK, some are good with the neuro. Every student is unique, same way every patient is unique. But overall selection is you can use high frequency TENS for the pain reduction, eyes application for the vasoconstriction to reduce the swelling, ultrasound, non-thermal, pulsed, thermal, continuous ultrasound, depending on the depth, 1 megahertz or the 3 megahertz. Grade 1 mobilization for your pain management, cross friction massage, and education. So your plan has to be prepared in such a way that what are your given for option, what is the scenario, and what best you can do for your patient of this given topic. It's easy when you are preparing yourself with that way. It will be very easy to navigate through the case scenario with the question answer format. Any question?
No, ma'am.
Good, perfect.
Yes.
Another thing, just a minute. Modalities. So modalities, particularly when I'm going to say that TENS, ultrasound, modalities, first of all, when you are working with the modalities, always ethics are there, because ethical background, you have to be mentally ready. When you go with the question answers, ethical background is extremely important. That whether physiotherapist assistant is working with the laser, can he give the laser if you are not competent? Can you ask your colleague to give the laser? What are you gonna do? You're gonna learn the modality and then ask the PTA to give the laser. Another thing is, if it is compulsory, do you learn the laser and give the laser to the patient? Or what modality you are giving, which is you are competent and confident enough? So the moral of the story is when patient comes to me, the modality which I am very confident, it's easy for me because I know the plus and minus, the contraindication, indication, precaution. So it is easy, safe for my patient. So always I choose that, okay, I'm giving modality which I'm confident. But if that modality is not there, then might be I have to improve my knowledge and I have to improve my competency level, learn that modality. Once I am confident and competent, I have to deliver that modality to my patient. So that way, ethically, you have to think when you are selecting your options. Ethics, extremely important. Again and again, I'm saying, because we are working with the safety of the people for well-being of their themselves and also helpful for their overall condition. Any questions, Samiksha?
No, ma'am.
Good.
Till now, I understood everything.
And the mobilization. Basically, the mobilization, when you are working with the mobilization, little bit dig yourself that what is mobilization. It's not only the direction, also your amplitude. That if you want to work for the pain reduction, grade 1, which is the small amplitude rhythmic oscillation, beginning of the range. Grade 2, large amplitude within a available range. Grade 3, large amplitude within a limit of maximum range. Grade 4, small amplitude performed up to the stressing to the tissue resistance. That way you are going to perform the mobilization, which is very, very helpful and extremely important. Sorry. Shoulder mobilization, basically, the thing is direction is important. Again, I told you flexion and internal rotation. The glide is posterior direction. Extension and external rotation. The glide is anterior direction. Abduction, you are going with the caudal because we have to go with the distraction. So distraction plus the caudal glide is very important to improve the abduction. Mostly you are giving mobilization in the resting position. And only the exception is when there is adhesive capsulitis To improve the external rotation, we can go with the posterior glide because of the orientation of the glenoid fossa and the head of the humerus. So that is a basic question, that AC joint scenario is a sports player. How you gonna understood that joint? You know the theory, but when this theory comes with the asking question, that what deformity you gonna observe, what movement is painful, what special test is helpful, you gonna focus on that portion, and then you feel that okay, I am a evidence based, ethical based physiotherapist that evaluate AC joint. Clear? And then intervention. So acute, go ahead with the modalities and the pain management. Gradually, you are going with the multiple angle isometric exercise, followed by progressive strengthening, range of motion, and ultimately patient goes back to the sports with simulated activity. Simulated means the patient, what they are doing the activity, same activity you are giving to the patient. That is known as simulated activity. So this is overall thing. I know it's too much, but the thing is your organization in such a way that you're gonna make a part and then understand that part with the theory, with the scenario, and with the question answer based on ethics. So it's easy to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Here. So this is the one component. You can organize with the glenohumeral joint. You can organize with the peripheral nerve injury of the scapula, peripheral nerve injury of the shoulder joint, particularly scapula, winging of scapula, anterior tipping of scapula.
Yes.
So use the part, making a scenario, and then understand that what are the questions maybe arise, which develop the critical thinking.
Yes.
And same thing I am doing with my regular students. Very first day, I am not giving them passive learning. Very first day, I will ask them question answers and then try to make them think that how their theory incorporate with the critical based thinking.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for
So
explaining in a very summarized way. Now I understood how actually we should learn the shoulder.
yes, no worries. Whenever you like, feel free to contact globalphysiacademy@gmail.com. Always, I'm available and I'm happy that at least you asked me this question. So I enlighten that point for my students who are in their path to go through the complex study, incorporate that complex study in the question answers. So it will be easy for them. Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank
day.
you, ma'am. Thank you. Bye-bye.